I will now call the January 24th, 2024 Historical Preservation Commission meeting to order. This agenda was posted in compliance with the open meeting law, and all members are in attendance with the exception of Chair Davenport on the telephone. A quorum is established. Please join me in standing and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item is the initial public comment period. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. Each person is limited to, must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. Each person has up to 5 minutes to speak on a specific agenda item. The public may call 702-589-9629 to provide public comment. If someone is in the audience and wants to speak, please come to the podium, state your name for the record. Seeing we have no one at this time at the podium or on the phone, we will close the first public comment period. Agenda item 1 for possible action, election of vice chair. Staff, can you provide an overview, please?
Yes, good evening. Michael Mays, Community Development Director. So the Commission's Vice Chair, Commissioner Fayen, has resigned, and that has created a vacancy on the Commission. And so the voting members of the Commission need to select among you a new Vice Chair. In the packet, we have a process of how that is done. Chair opens the floor to nominations and then asks nominees who are selected if they're willing to consent to that nomination. And then once all the nominations have been offered, then the chair asks for a vote to close nominations. If there is only one person selected as vice chair, well, then it's selected by acclamation. However, if there's more than one nominated, then the chair would manage the vote process to determine who gets the most votes to be selected vice chair.
Okay. Commission, any questions? Do we have a nomination for vice chairman? I nominate myself.
Second it.
So quick. Okay. Do I have a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, just to clarify, were you submitting a nomination to close nominations, a motion to close nominations, or you don't need a second to nominate somebody?
Oh, okay, very
Yeah.
good.
So you would just ask, are there any other nominations?
Okay, are there any other nominations?
No. So now you would ask for a motion to close the nomination process.
Okay, do I have a motion to close the nomination of vice chairman?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is approved unanimously. So then I could jump down, let's see. So, since I am the only person by acclamation, I forgot she was on.
I think she's just clearing her throat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did she say aye?
She did.
I didn't hear her vote.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot you were on the phone. Okay. So by acclamation, Denise Ashurst has been selected as vice chairman. Next is agenda 2 for possible action, approval of the minutes of the December 6, 2023 meeting. Do I have a motion for approval?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is
Aye.
Motion is approved unanimously. Next is Agenda Item 3 for possible action, discussion on Northwind Resources Consulting LLC on potential changes to the adopted exterior design guidelines for various properties in the historic district. Staff, your report, please.
So the design guidelines were set as a goal with the commission to update them. And for the last couple of years, the commission has been focused on evaluating proposed changes to the design guidelines. As you know, the design guidelines are one of the criteria in evaluating the appropriateness of new improvements to structures within the historic district. The commission had already previously approved the design guidelines for contributing properties in the district, and more recently has been working on the design guidelines for non-contributing properties. Courtney Mooney with Northwind has been working with the commission to develop those guidelines. The revisions were in your packet, and Courtney is on the phone to answer any questions. What staff is looking for from the commission tonight is if you are comfortable with recommending approval of the revised design guidelines, we'd be looking for a motion. If you want additional changes, we would just suggest that that would be included in the motion so that staff can work with Northwind to make the final changes, as the design guidelines need to go forward to the city council for formal approval.
Does she have anything to say?
Courtney, anything in addition to add?
Nope, this is Courtney Mooney for the record. I think you covered it, Michael, and I'm available for any questions.
Okay. Commission, do you have any questions? Ms. Davenport, do you have any questions?
I do not have any questions or comments. Thank you.
So do I have a motion for approval of the draft design guidelines for non-contributing properties as presented?
I approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion is approved unanimously.
Oh, sorry, you need the vote.
Oh.
You had the first, the second, and now all those in favor.
Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for keeping me on track. Okay, thank you. Next agenda is item 4, update on implementations of the commission's goals and priorities. Staff, your report, please.
So, in your packet is the summary of the historic preservation. Oh, sorry, jumping ahead. As we do every month, we put in the packet a matrix which shows the progress being made on the goals that were adopted by the commission as well as the city council. Any changes from last month are noted in blue. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Commission, do you have any questions, or you need a few minutes to ponder it? Chair Davenport, do you have any questions?
I don't. Thank you.
Okay, then I'll go on to the next agenda. Item 5, for possible action, discussion regarding activities for Historic Preservation Day and award for 2024. Staff, your report, please.
So you'll see on page 34, we have updated the timeline for the activities and when certain goals need to be accomplished. Just for the commission's benefit, I wanted to highlight that the next meeting, the meeting on February 28th, is the final meeting for the commission to finalize the schedule of activities. The reason for that, as you can see, that we need to have the flyer completed in March so it can be published in April, so we can get it out to the public to let the public know about Historic Preservation Day in May. And specifically, this year, it's going to be May 11th. To help the commission in your planning efforts, I have included the flyer that went out in January in the utility mailer with the QR code. and that's the one to promote the nomination process. And we'll be bringing those nominations back to the commission on March 27th. That's when you'll vote for an award winner for Historic Preservation Day. Also in your packet, we put a copy of last year's schedule, so you could kind of see how it was laid out, the activities, just to give you further reference as you're planning this year's event. And then finally, you'll see a new sheet. This was a summary of the focus for the proposed Historic Preservation Day, potential locations, potential partners, and then assignments as commissioners committed to follow up on each of these areas. That's there for you as a guide. And so this is your opportunity to continue to plan for the event.
Okay, and we could take time right now to do that?
Yep.
All righty. So I'll get started. I did talk with Tara Leon at the company store, and she was excited about it, as always. I guess she's been doing it for several years. I also talked to Michelle Caven, whose husband runs the classic car shows, but he knows someone who has historic cars. He's going to get 2 to 3, and since Railroad Pass really doesn't have room for parking, I think we said last meeting that we could we'll park somewhere else, or you do have room now.
You had Railroad Pass, did you mean the museum?
Yes, the museum,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, so Tara Leon at the company store said they could park in her back parking space, which is a lot. She's going to court it off for us. So that's in place. We're good to go with the company store.
I was able to talk to somebody as well that has 22 historic restored cars and actually owns one of the oldest Porsches that is still out, one of the oldest ones. And he said that we could go ahead and borrow that. So he and I are going to meet and take a look at the different cars that he has, and he does a lot of the restoration here in Boulder
wow,
City
nice.
as well. So I think that would do that. And I did some research on the new airport versus the old airport. The old airport, is there any way we can have any activities there? Because of course, it is so rich in history. And I started sharing it with, people in my circle, and they're like, what? That happened there? And it used to be, it was called the biggest airport of the West. And it just is obviously rich in history, and I think more people need to know the specifics behind it. And it was in 1938 that they had the first mail airplane come in and deliver mail.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I don't know, is that a possibility because I know you had said that the city uses it for storage?
Yes, I know that the Utility and Public Works Department currently are keeping equipment in there to keep them out of the elements. Certainly, being able to use the outside of the facility wouldn't be an issue.
Would there be any way that we could possibly have the door open and maybe a little walkway that is
Is it a hangar door?
kind
A
of,
hangar?
to go in and kind of look at the inside of it, or?
Yeah, let me check with the Public Works Director to see if there's a way to be able to have it open so people can look in and
Not
cordon
ha-
off.
Exactly, not
Yeah.
have access to all
Right.
of it, but at least, go in, and I thought that it might be nice to have a lot of the, information and some of the old pictures sitting up so people can come in and.
Like on tripods type thing?
Yes,
Kids,
yes.
kids love going into hangars.
Yes.
It's just fun.
I've lived here for so many years, and I was blown away at some of the
Mm-hmm.
information that is out there.
Nice.
I think people would think that was interesting.
If we're looking to do more with the airport, we might also consider reaching out to the Clark County Museum over the hill in Henderson. They have an ongoing exhibit at Harry Reid International Airport about aviation in Clark County, including Boulder City. They also have one of the original buildings from the Boulder City Airport as part of their museum displays and collection. And given that Boulder City is part of Clark County, it's a resource that we should look at cooperating with.
So would we be going there? Would that be like one of the locations?
I think that's a determination that we could make, but I would encourage people to stay within the community where
Yes.
possible
Yes.
and talk to the museum about potentially bringing a curator
Very good.
or other expert to the
artifacts even
event
up.
to speak to guests at the event in the actual
would
historic
be nice.
location rather than going to an off-site location.
Right, because that is off the beaten trail. That sounds really good. So can you handle that? Talking
Yeah,
to
I can
someone
reach,
at
I've
the.
got
okay.
contacts over there.
That would be wonderful.
Alrighty. And Chair Davenport, we have you down here as the historic water filtration plant. You have any news on that or anything to add?
I don't, as long as it will continue to be available and we can move forward with making it available as we've done in the past with the city's permissions and cleanup and, just the steps that are required to open it up. I did have not a question, but a comment about the airport. We opened up the airport a few years ago for Historic Preservation Day, the old airport, I should say, and it was very popular. And I have, I guess, some information and a poster on the history of the airport. So if I can find it, I'd be happy to make it available and made into a poster if the commission wants to continue to use it.
That'd be wonderful.
That would be great. So on the water filtration plant, did we discuss that last month as being a place where we were going to go? Or did we just say the airport, the railroad museum and,
Planes, trains,
Company.
automobiles.
right. So was water filtration plant off the list or
I
that's?
thought it was still on because it's attached
Ah.
to the railroad line, so to speak. It's part of the railroad history, and it's an option for folks to come and go as they please throughout the day.
Okay. So that would be,
I'm sure we could incorporate it.
yeah, that would be the fourth place to, and if someone wanted to break off to go there, they could go there. Okay. Anything else, Chair Davenport?
No, the only weirdness about the water filtration plan is if the work on its rehab will be going on close to it or during that time. I don't know. I can't recall the date.
So we are currently in the process of going out to bid for the remediation efforts, so that's both asbestos and lead-based paint. We're obligated to complete all the work by May, so I would be hopeful that by May 11th that work would be completed. I'll just double check with our Public Works Director regarding that.
So is that something, well, because we'd have to make up the agenda prior to that, the flyers and everything, would that be something that would be on the flyer? And that's kind of holding you to that date? Do we want to take that chance?
Well, that's why I'll have the discussion with him to make sure that there's no concerns from his end, that
Okay.
we can offer that
That
as a
works.
tour site.
Okay. All righty. And then the school activities for the children?
Do you guys have anything already set in place at the museum? Any
So-
activities or?
We will build programming based on kind of what this committee finalizes as its goals and desires. That's easy for us to do. At least initially now, our program is going to be more centered towards adults because that's generally who comes to these events. Not to undermine the youth education aspect, but traditionally it's been
Right.
adults that attend. And so we're prepared to offer at least 2 programs at the museum. One talking about some of the preservation work that's currently being undertaken by the museum. We have 2 major projects this year. The first is already underway, which is the restoration, cosmetic restoration of a Union Pacific dining car, returning it to its 1930s appearance. And then the second is the restoration of the Davenport locomotive, which was the last locomotive to operate on the branch line down to the Hoover Dam. And that'll start in the second half of the year. So our maintenance specialist is going to speak on those projects. And then I'll be talking about the museum's ongoing work with the Department of Energy to save the last remaining artifacts that operated on the railroad at the Nevada test site, and how we're working to preserve those and bring those to the museum, because as you can imagine, moving railroad pieces by truck
Right.
is not very easy.
Right.
Right.
So it's a very interesting story about the railroad itself, about the preservation efforts, and how that ties into what the museum does for Boulder City and Nevada as a whole.
Okay. And you said you're going to reach out to the Department of Energy?
So we are working with them on this project. It's something the museum is already doing.
Already doing, okay.
I'm just going to give a presentation as part of Historic Preservation Day to talk about what we're doing as part of our preservation mission.
Okay. So if we are going to have a lot of children there, any ideas?
Let me go backwards a little bit. How are we advertising this? Just in the mailer? In the utilities bill?
So typically, the utility mailer, social media, city website, we try to get it to the newspaper so they promote it.
Okay, okay. I do have some activities for the airport, if that's, something that we can do with that. And then the automobiles, still kind of fine tuning that, but I can bring those next week and we can,
Okay, and Tara Leon said that she had activities for kids there as well.
oh, fantastic,
So-
perfect.
Even if we had some type of crayon and coloring books with trains, I mean, they're pretty, I've seen them at Walmart, places like
Yeah,
that.
we'll
so-
we'll do specific historic preservation education programming. That's
Okay.
just with it being 5 months away right now. We're focused on our big event that we've got coming up in February,
bet,
and then we'll
yes. Oh, yeah,
transition to
absolutely.
Preservation Day.
Okay,
Yeah.
we do have
that
time.
makes sense.
We do
Yeah.
have time, it's May. Okay. Chair Davenport, anything you'd like to add?
No, just thank you, Christopher, again for pivoting to help us with this, especially while we try to incorporate kids into the mix. One thing, I did receive a call from Jill Lagan, and maybe she spoke with Michael regarding the chamber wanting to assist us with Historic Preservation Day. And I don't know if that's something to bring up at this point, or do we just work with her as we go along? I'm not sure.
I could reach out and clarify what she would like to do to help with the day's efforts.
Okay,
Sounds good. Dawn, did you have
thank
anything?
you.
I just thought that maybe someone that had an older plane, if you're going to open up the old airport hangar, put an old plane in there.
Like a biplane
Yeah,
or something?
and just leave it roped off so they couldn't go in, they could just look.
I'm sure they have them down
Yeah,
there. or
somebody does.
somebody, yeah, because they fly over for Wreath Across America Day and a couple other events, so. Okay. Anything else?
Who is going to reach out to the business here in town that restores cars?
That was me, that was
Okay.
Michelle Caven.
Okay,
And-
perfect,
And
okay.
they're the ones who I was gonna have bring a car, but yours sound better.
Well, we can have more than
Or
one,
more-
too.
or
We could do
both.
a
Yeah,
few, absolutely.
Absolutely, and Tara said we could have up to 6 cars back there
Okay.
to rope it off, so, and we have time. Okay,
Absolutely.
anything else, Commission?
I'll add, I've spoken to the directors of the Nevada State Museum Las Vegas and the Lost City Museum in Overton to add some broader expertise. They're interested in setting up booths. I haven't gotten firm commitments, but it's a very strong possibility, so we will get archaeological as well as historic preservation from those institutions as well that can
Oh, that
talk
would
to a
be
broader
nice.
range of what professionals do to preserve our history.
Very nice.
Love it. That's
And that
great.
is what they do. I've been up to Overton. Okay, anything else?
That's great, thank you.
All righty. So, we covered that. We'll move on to agenda. Oh,
Actually, if I could just get some clarification. So, since next month will be the last time for the commission to finalize the flyer, what I'd like to do, if each of you can look at the existing flyer And as you're working on your elements, come up with the narrative that you think would be appropriate to describe that activity. And if you could email that to me, and then I will compile that and bring that back to the February meeting so that the commission can approve it. It would include the where, and I think we have the where figured out, so that I'll take care of. But the who is who would be presenting, and then the what they would be presenting. And I guess just finally, do you envision staggering these activities kind of like last year? And if so, maybe identify the times most appropriate for each of yours and give that to me. And then we can put this together and then sign off on it next month so it can be published in the April utility mailer.
Okay, and we would have to send, each one of us would have to send it to you because we can't talk among each other.
Correct, separately, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Any questions about that?
So, look, this is, am I on the right one? This is,
Yes.
okay. So we have given it a title, Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. Is that something that would be, I don't really see anything saying what this theme is on the sheet.
Yeah, no, I think that's appropriate. I would put that in there as the theme.
Yeah, bold headlines,
I think that would be nice.
yeah.
Maybe a graphic or two. So this, because to me, when I look at this initially, this is very business-like. And this is very, especially, there's a lot of people that have the direct deposit and have everything, so they don't even open. They're like, oh, I know what it is. I unfortunately talk to more people that, of course, fault of their own, do not open it up because they know exactly what their bill is. They know it's paid and it's done.
Right.
So maybe, and we open it up, look at it, done, finished. So maybe if we made this a little bit more appealing and less business-like and more,
And we're trying to attract children too, so, are
and a
you,
broader range of, you know,
Right.
people. Just so it kind of catches their eye, like, oh, what's that old plane doing on there? Or,
Right,
you know, some graphics kind of make it a little
can we
less businessy, more
change?
eventy.
Can we change from this format?
We could change the format, it would just need to be one page.
Okay, just
So
need to be-
all the information, the graphics would all have to fit on there.
Okay, so you're expecting from us graphics, everything, I mean, it's something I do a lot, maybe you too, and we could just have 2 or 3 different ideas of, and maybe put them together.
Yeah, if you want to send me graphics,
Oh,
that'd be
good,
fine. But mainly the text, I can try to come up with some graphics as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you can, yeah. You could just go on the internet and look at different themes. There's other people who have done what we're wanting to do, and since we want to make it kid-friendly, when they open this up, you want it to pop, like you said, like, oh, this is different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
All right, thank
you
you.
good? Okay. Chair Davenport, last word before we move on?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Okay. All right, next is agenda item 6 for possible action, discussion/update on the status of properties in the historic district or other potential eligible properties. Staff, your report, please.
So you'll note that in this month's report, I have attempted to create a new method to communicate update on activities and projects within the historic district or properties of significance. You'll see that I have a matrix which shows building permits. That includes the address, whether they're contributing properties or not, the type of work, and summary notes. You know, in particular, whether a certificate of appropriateness was required or not. In addition to that, because the commission wants to know and get updates on grants and other activities that are going on within the community, I have another box category of other activities. And so the 2 ongoing grants with summary status is provided, as well as the city's recent designation from the National Park Service as an American World War II heritage city. And so with that, I'll answer any questions.
Commission, you have any questions?
No, but while I was doing a lot of reading on the old airport, there was a lot of World War II information and it being used during that time. And it reminded me of what you had said, what you had just stated, that it would be a nice tie-in. Nothing groundbreaking, though.
Chair Davenport, any questions or input?
No, not for me, thank you.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the next agenda, item 7, for possible action. Commission discussion regarding potential agenda items for the upcoming Historic Preservation Commission meeting. Now's the time for the commission to identify possible future agenda items. Anybody have any inputs on agenda items coming up? I assume this is something that we may want to add to the agenda from previous meetings or just curiosities?
Well, no, this is a standing item. The purpose is so if there is a particular topic that the commission wants to discuss, it allows staff to research that topic and get back to you, or, say, this is how much time we're going to need to work on that project. Obviously, you have standard agenda items that are just automatically on each of the meetings, including this agenda item, including the goal updates, including the status of properties. And right now, you are going to be discussing Historic Preservation Day every month. So those agenda items will always be there.
Okay, so as you were talking, I was thinking of the new facilities that are opening up in the Old Town. Would that be something that we would want to talk about on the agenda? I don't know, just for public hearing that we have stores that are opening up and what they're doing in those stores and how they affect the historical part of the city? Like the Milo's strip right in that area. There's 1, 2, 3 stores that are opening. Is that something that would even go on the agenda?
Well, I guess the question would be, what would be the purpose for the commission to discuss that item?
Right.
If it's just a matter of information, that's just something that can be
Well, those are considered
promoted.
non-compliant buildings?
So if any building within the historic district requires a building permit, then a building permit requires a certificate of appropriateness. And so that will always be provided for you in agenda item 6. That's
Okay.
where we update all building permits.
Okay,
And just to reiterate, interior work is not impacting the structural integrity or the contributing status of a historic property. But all exterior work, and in particular work that can be viewed from the street, that's where it's important to keep the commission up to date on those projects.
okay, so if anything was going on the exterior, that would already be identified in Agenda 6?
Yep.
All righty, so, Commission, you got any questions or further discussion? Chair Davenport?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Okay. Well, since we have nothing further to discuss, now is the final public comment period for the evening. The public may call 702-589-9629. Okay, so hearing no one calling in and no one at the podium, we will close the final public comment period. This meeting is adjourned.
Good job. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye. See you next month.